So here are my top 8 books that I've read so far. Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. So today is my first sit down video and I'm going to talk about my favorite books. By the way, this is not in any particular order, not from like my first favorite book, my second, no. So I just love these books in general, you know. So my first one is Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren. This book is very beautiful. Her writing is very pretty. This is my first book by her, by the way, and I loved reading it. It was so fun. It was like an easy read as well, so I didn't really have to think too much, and that's really important for me personally because I feel like if the book is like too hard to be read, I would DNF it directly because I feel like books are used for escapism, and if it's like too hard to read, I think it's not as enjoyable in my opinion. So yeah, this book is very interesting because it's about childhood best friends who basically like fall out and then they met a few years later, and yeah, their romance start from there. That's basically about rekindling and reminiscing their childhood as well. If I'm not mistaken, this book is also like the timeline is per chapter, like past, present, past, present, past, present. So that's how they wrote. Sorry, this is a co-author thing. So yeah, I would dive into it if I were you. This was my first read for Emily Henry and I loved it. Happy Place by Emily Henry. This book made me fall in love with Emily Henry right just like that. Right off the bat, loved the book. It's about, I think if I'm not mistaken, Harriet is a resident, a doctor. I'm not sure, but yeah. Basically, it's about second chance romance, about how, although they're meant to be, sometimes the timing is just not right. And the thing about Emily Henry is she writes realistic romance where you understand and you relate to the main character so much because of the realisticness of the personality, the situation. Most of the time, your days are not as good as you want them to be, right? And that's why I love her writing, because I cannot explain it, because you have to try and read her book first before you understand what I mean. But one thing is for sure, she doesn't need to use like hard poetic words. I feel like a lot of the times authors use very intricate and hard words to the point like the readers are kind of confused. But then again, I do understand like some people do like those kind of writing, but I'm just not that type of person, and that's okay. I feel like everyone has their own cup of tea. Next is my first book by this author as well. It's Sarah Adams' The Match. This is such a pretty book. What drew me into this book was the synopsis. I feel like not a lot of authors write about disability and service dogs, and this is the first time I read about disability and service dogs. How like service dogs can change people's lives very significantly because it makes them feel like very independent and they can live on their own with those service dogs. What drew me into her writing, what made me like the book, is that her writing is very witty and very funny. It's like you can tell, this is a dual POV by the way. You can tell from the per POV, she uses a lot of questions. So you can tell that like a lot of them are like about their thoughts, you know, like for example, something she would use is like, did she just flirt with me? That's what she wrote. That's really funny in my opinion because like there's not a lot of writers use that, and I feel like it's so cute, right? Like sometimes they're just too much sentences, but like she uses questions instead, and it was I laughed a lot on this book because of her writing. I loved it. This is also my first book by this author. Again, this is Abby Jimenez, Part of Your World. This is a small town romance about a very rich and famous doctor who basically fell in love with a small town guy that owns a B&B, I think. Yeah, I read just for the summers already, but like I feel like it's not as good as this one. It didn't hook me as quick as this book did. Then again, I do like small town romances. Personally, I do. So maybe that's also like a huge factor of why I like the book. But again, this book is very fun. You should try and read it. It's just a very fun, easy read of a small town romance and how that small town really changed her perspective of the world and her perspective towards the people surrounding her as well. So yeah, I love that. Next is my favorite book ever. No, again, this is no ranking, but I do love this one because out of all the books that I have showed y'all, this is the only book that I have read twice. This is Wild Love by Elsie Silver. This is by far Elsie Silver's best series, in my opinion. Her book series are very nice, but this is like, girl, she improved. You can tell, you know, like, it's so good. It's so well written. It's about, again, this is one of my favorite tropes. Brother's best friend. Brother's best friend is literally my favorite thing ever. So basically, her brother's best friend is a billionaire. It's a Grumpy Sunshine book, I guess. And it's about where the brother's best friend, Ford actually already liked Rosie since like when she was younger, like, but then again, she's off limits because she's her brother's best friend, her best friend's sister. But then again, turns out Rosie also liked him. So like, they basically already liked each other since a very long time. Then again, nobody knew. So yeah, I love their banter, their wittiness. The writing is also beautiful. You can tell she really improved from her like older series, and I like that. We grow together with the author. I like that because very good writing. You should go and read it because this is a very fun read. This has spice, by the way. The other books that I have said before has no spice, so this is the only book out of the 8. No, this is the 2 books that has spice. The other one that has spice that I will be telling you after this, but this one is spicier than the one I'm going to tell you later on. So that's a thing that you can take note on. If you don't like spice, I would not read this. That's it. Next, this also has spice. It's Ailey Hazelwood's Love Theoretically. Again, I love Hailey Hazelwood because she writes women in STEM. Like how she writes that this male-dominating field is so hard, and it's not too much theory to the point like it's annoying. No, you can still read it easily, because sometimes if the book is like too theory based, it's so hard to read it because it's like I didn't read this book to go to a science class, you know. That's why I like the book, because it still focuses on Elsie's struggles in STEM, and how she also don't like men in STEM, and then she found Jack, and Jack is very nice, and I love Jack. He is one of my favorite Ailey Hazelwood men characters. So yeah, you should read this. I want to reread this soon. Next is another one by Ailey Hazelwood. Is Checkmate by Ailey Hazelwood. This book is a YA no spice, very pretty book. This is about two chess players, obviously, but Nolan is a very, 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 very famous chess player. So he's like number one, I guess. And Mallory is also a chess player, but then again, she's a girl, and girls don't play chess. And I feel like, again, her writing still has a lot of theory, but it's so easy because she breezes the theory like by very quickly. You don't really have to like think about the theory, and you don't really have to understand chess to read it. Again, after reading the book, I still don't understand how to play chess. But then again, super nice, super fun, and by far one of my favorite Ailey Hazelwood books, aside from Love Theoretically. Next, we have my last book. This is almost my number one. I think this is actually my number one book by Emily Henry. It's Funny Story by Emily Henry. Girl, this is so nice. This is so, like, her writing again. You really cannot fail with Emily Henry's writing because her writing is so good, so simple, so easy to be understood. And one thing I like about her books, and this is very technical, and I feel like it's not really important, but for me it's quite important. Her font is not too small. Sometimes when they're too small, I just get annoyed because like I want to read it quickly, and then like if it's too small, I have to like really look at it and like really think twice because like it's just too small, you know. And her book is not it. And I like that all her books can lay down flat on a surface. Oh, you know what I mean? Not all books can do that. I will show you an example of it. This one cannot lay flat. See, it keeps on closing. I don't like that. I don't know why her books aren't consistent because this one can. I'm not sure, but maybe it's just the one that I picked up. The one I picked up was wrong, but yeah, I like that all her books can lay flat, so I can read very comfortably, and the font is big. That is very important for me. Anyways, aside from that, the book. This is about the love story about Daphne and Miles. So Daphne initially was with Peter. Peter fell in love with his like childhood best friend, basically. I forgot her name. Petra. Yeah. And then, so Petra has an ex called Miles. So basically, Peter broke off his engagement with Daphne. And then Peter got together with Petra. So that leaves Daphne with no place to live. So she contacted Miles and found out that he has another room in his apartment, and she moved in. And yeah, they basically trauma bonded and they fell in love. You can read it in the book and how they navigate trauma together and how they fell in love together, how they manage their problems, because obviously all couples have problems. And yeah, she writes it beautifully. Again, you find it so hard to not root for the characters in the book because they're so realistic and you relate to them so much, and that's why I love Emily Henry. So yeah, that is my 8 favorite books, and I hope you enjoyed it because I think I will be talking about books more often. I really, really love reading books, and I will be talking about it more often, and maybe I'll do reading vlogs as well. So we'll see in the future. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.